Imagine sending a message that travels across the globe in an instant for free. Today it's second nature, but just over a decade ago, this was a revolutionary idea. And the man who made it happen started with absolutely nothing. This is the incredible story of Jan Koum, the creator of WhatsApp, who went from relying on food stamps to becoming a multi-billionaire. Jan's story begins in a small village outside Kyiv, Ukraine, back in 1976. Life under the Soviet regime was tough. His family lived in a simple house with no hot water, and his parents were always afraid of being spied on. They couldn't even talk freely on the phone for fear that the government was listening. This early experience with a lack of privacy would deeply shape his future creation. When Jan was 16, he, his mother, and his grandmother made the brave decision to immigrate to the United States, seeking a better life. They landed in Mountain View, California, with very little money. A government support program helped them get a small 2-bedroom apartment. To make ends meet, his mother worked as a babysitter, and Jan swept floors at a local grocery store. For years, they depended on food stamps to buy groceries, a memory that would stay with him forever. School was a struggle for Jan. He didn't speak much English and felt like an outsider. But he discovered a passion for something that transcended language barriers: computers. He taught himself computer networking by buying used books from a local bookstore and returning them when he was done to get his money back. He was a self-described troublemaker in high school, but behind that facade was a brilliant mind soaking up everything he could about programming. He eventually enrolled at San Jose State University, while also taking on a job as a security tester at the accounting firm Ernst & Young. It was there, in 1997, that a fateful meeting changed the course of his life. He was sent to inspect the server systems at a new, fast-growing company called Yahoo. The person he met was employee number 44, a straightforward engineer named Brian Acton. Brian saw something special in Jan. He appreciated his no-nonsense, serious attitude towards technology. Just 6 months later, Brian helped Jan get a job at Yahoo as an infrastructure engineer. For the next 9 years, Jan and Brian worked side by side at Yahoo. They weren't just colleagues. They became close friends, bonding over their shared dislike for corporate nonsense and their love for building solid, reliable technology. They saw the rise of the internet from the inside, but they also grew tired of the company's focus on advertising. They believed technology should serve people, not just sell them things. In 2007, they both decided they'd had enough and left Yahoo, taking some time to travel and decompress. After their break, both Jan and Brian applied for jobs at Facebook. In a twist of fate that seems almost comical now, they were both rejected. Little did they know, this rejection would be the best thing that ever happened to them. The real light bulb moment came in early 2009. Jan had just bought his first iPhone. He was fascinated by the brand new App Store and saw its immense potential. He noticed that while you could have a list of contacts, you couldn't easily tell what your friends were doing at any given moment. What if there was an app that showed a status next to each person's name? A status that said, "at the gym," "in a meeting," or "battery about to die." He pitched this idea to his friends in the local Russian community. They were skeptical, but one of them, Alex Fishman, introduced him to a Russian iPhone developer. On his birthday, February 24, 2009, Jan officially incorporated a new company in California. He called it WhatsApp, a clever play on the phrase, "what's up?" The first version of WhatsApp was not a messaging app. It was purely a status updater, and it was buggy and unpopular. Jan became so discouraged that he considered giving up and looking for a regular job. It was his friend and future co-founder, Brian Acton, who gave him the crucial encouragement he needed. Brian told him, "You'd be an idiot to quit now. Give it a few more months." That advice was priceless. Soon after, Apple introduced push notifications for iPhones. This was the game changer. Suddenly, whenever a friend updated their status on WhatsApp, you would get a ping on your phone. Jan quickly realized that people were using the status feature to communicate with each other, sending messages like, "Hey, how are you?" as their status. He saw the future. WhatsApp could be a messaging app. Jan and Brian got to work. They rebuilt WhatsApp as a cross-platform instant messenger. Their core philosophy was simple: no ads, no games, no gimmicks. Just pure, reliable, and private messaging. Remembering the constant surveillance he grew up with in Ukraine, Jan was obsessed with user privacy. The service would be simple, secure, and personal. Brian Acton officially joined the company, investing $250,000 of his own money to become a co-founder. They worked out of a small shared office space with a sign on their door that read, "No ads, no games, no gimmicks." They focused entirely on the user experience. Instead of spending money on marketing, they let the product speak for itself. And it did. Word spread like wildfire. People loved the simplicity and the fact that it worked on different phones, allowing them to message friends internationally for free. By 2011, WhatsApp was one of the top apps in the App Store. By 2013, it had over 200 million active users, more than Twitter at the time. All this was achieved with a tiny team of just 50 employees. They had resisted all offers for advertising and stayed true to their vision. Naturally, this kind of explosive growth got the attention of Silicon Valley's biggest players. One person who was paying very close attention was Mark Zuckerberg. Remember that company that had rejected both Jan and Brian? Facebook now wanted to buy them. After some initial talks, Jan and Brian were hesitant. They didn't want to sell out to the world of advertising they had so deliberately escaped. But Zuckerberg was persistent. He shared Jan's vision of connecting the world and promised to uphold WhatsApp's core principles of independence and no advertising. The final deal was sealed in a place that held deep symbolic meaning for Jan. Instead of signing the papers in a fancy boardroom, Jan chose to do it on the steps of the welfare office where he and his mother used to stand in line to collect food stamps. It was a powerful statement, a full-circle moment acknowledging his journey from poverty to unimaginable success. In February 2014, Facebook announced it was acquiring WhatsApp for an astounding $19 billion. It was one of the largest tech acquisitions in history. Koum, the immigrant boy who once swept floors, was now a billionaire. Brian Acton also became a billionaire. Even after the acquisition, Jan remained the CEO of WhatsApp and joined Facebook's board of directors. He continued to champion user privacy, pushing for the implementation of end-to-end encryption, which launched in 2016, making conversations on WhatsApp completely private and secure. Not even WhatsApp or Facebook could read them. It was the fulfillment of a promise he had made to himself, inspired by his childhood in the Soviet Union. It's a story of resilience, friendship, and staying true to your principles. He wasn't driven by a desire for fame or fortune. He was driven by a desire to solve a real problem, to create something useful and authentic. He built a product for people, not for advertisers, and in doing so, changed the way 1 billion people communicate. From a food stamp line to a multi-billion-dollar deal, his journey is one of the most inspiring tales of the digital age.